Hello students, this is Ambus sir. In the last video, we were studying chapter 2, that is sexual reproduction in flowering plants, in which we discussed pre-fertilization, structure and events. Actually this topic was going on. Today again we will proceed with the same topic, but today's topic will be the structure of the female sex organs of a typical flower. Here we will discuss the structure and events of a female sex organ of a typical flower. So we will proceed with the pistil, megasporangium and embryo sac. Students, do you know what is the female sex organ of a flower called? Yes, it is gynoecium. And a gynoecium is made up of pistil. Here is the pistil I am drawing right now. Gynoecium is situated at the center of the flower. So it is actually the central hole. Now, this is the part of the thalamus on which the different holes of the flower rest. And this is the pedicel. So this is the central hole of a flower, which is actually the gynoecium, the female sex organ. Students, gynoecium is actually made up of pistil, not of pistil. One or more than one pistils are there. Pistil. Gynoecium is made up of pistil. This pistil is also called as carpel. Now, this is a single pistil in which, just a moment. I have told you the single pistil, so at the tip there will be a only one lobe will be there at the tip. There should be only one lobe. Now it is showing a single pistil, right? So different parts of this pistil are at the tip. This is called stigma. Students, do you know what is the function of stigma? Yes, it is receptive part of the flower. In this way it receives the pollen grains. Now this slender portion, it is called style. Style. And this rounded portion at the base, that is called ovary. In this way, a pistil has three parts: stigma, style and ovary. Inside the ovary, there is a structure which is called ovule, and ovule is also called as megasporangium. Right? There is a parallel term we have discussed in case of the male sex organ, that is the microsporangium, where the pollen grains are formed, and here it is the megasporangium, where the megaspores are formed. Right? Now, so this is a cavity, the cavity of the ovary, ovarian cavity. Technically it is called locule. Ovarian cavity is technically called as locule. Now, the ovule is attached with the wall of the ovary, and the point of the ovary to which the ovule is attached, that is actually called the placenta. Placenta. So this is all about the pistil of a flower. Now students, if a flower, gynosium has a single pistil, so that gynosium will be called as monocarpal tree. When the gynosium has a single pistil, so the gynosium that time is called as the monocarpal ring. Now if it has more than one pistil, right now I have drawn a single pistil, so this gynosium is monocarpal ring, right? Why it is a single pistil? Because it has only one lobe at the tip, right? Now if the gynosium has more than one pistil, that time that gynosium is called multicarpal ring. Multicarpal tree. So monocarpal tree and multicarpal tree. Now, if there are, more than one pistils are there, that time the pistils, they may be free or they may be attached. If the pistils are free, then that condition is called as apocarpus. The gynosium will be the apocarpus. And if the pistils are attached, then the gynosium will be syncarpus. Right? So these are the terms which you will have to learn. That what is the meaning of the monocarpal ray, what is the meaning of the multicarpal ray, what is the monocarpal, gynosium, if the monocarpal ray, what does it mean, and if the gynosium is multicarpal ray, what does it mean, and what is the meaning of the apocarpus, what is the meaning of the syncarpus. Now students, in your NCERT book, a diagram on page number 25 given, many diagrams are given, in the figure 2.7, here is given part B and part C. So part B is telling the syncarpus pistil. Part B in your NCERT book, page number 25, figure 2.7, part B. It is the syncarpus gynosium, where pistils are many but all are attached. And the example it is given here, papaver. So in papaver, the syncarpus condition is found. It's very important question. Very often it is asked in the board examination. From this figure only the question is asked. Now one more part B picture here it is given, in which it is the gynosium, it is showing the apocarpus condition. Here the pistils, they are separate, visible very clearly. And this example for this is the Michaelis. So sorry, Micalia is the example for this. So these two examples you are requested to learn it by heart. That apocarpus condition is found in papaver and syncarpus condition is found in, sorry, apocarpus condition, it is found in Micalis, and syncarpus condition, it is found in papaver, right? Now we will discuss in detail this structure, I mean the ovule. This is actually, I have not labeled it, it is the ovule. Found in the ovary. It's a very important part, because inside the ovule there will be the formation of the female gamete, and ovule is also called as the megasporangium, right? So let us draw a detailed structure of an ovule. These are the envelopes of an ovule. Right? Now one more envelope. This is the outermost envelope of an ovule. Now this is the inner envelope. Two envelopes are there. This is the inner envelope. right? Now, these two envelopes, they surround, let us complete this. Now these two envelopes, they surround a tissue which is called nucellus. So this is the nucellus right now I'm drawing. Now, this area, now students, this area which I am just drawing with this orange colored chalk, this area is called chalaja. Actually from this chalaja the different envelopes they start developing. Now inside this portion, this oval circle which we are observing right now, it is actually the female gametophyte or embryo sac. Because three cells are towards the chalaja end and three cells are towards the micropylar end, because this is the micropyle, that's why this end is called micropylar end, right? Now at the center there is a nucleus which is called secondary nucleus, and these are the cells. So I'm drawing here the nuclei. Right? Now this is at the center, actually it is the embryo sac or female gametophyte. Right? Now this is the funicle. Now, two parts we are observing in this ovule. This is the main part, which is called the body of the ovule, and this I have drawn the stalk of the ovule. Now, for the nourishment, here is the supply of the vascular bundle through this funicle. So through this vascular bundle, the ovule actually gets nourishment. Now So this is a typical ovule. Now I'm going to label it. So this point of the ovule, or better you can say this pole of the ovule, is called chalaja. Right? And just opposite to this one is called micropyle. Micropyle is an aperture through which the pollen tube enters inside the female gametophyte, right? Now, this is the outer integument. And this is the inner integument. Now this tissue which surrounds actually the female gametophyte is called nucellus. Right? Now, this is the raphe, and this part is called the funicle. Students, here pay attention. Actually, raphe is not different from that of the funicle. Actually, it is funicle, but it is that part of the funicle which surrounds this body of the ovule. I mean, it is attached with this body of the ovule. From here to this pole, this part of the funicle is attached with the body of the ovule. So, this attached part of the funicle is called as raphe. While the part of the funicle which is separate, it is not attached, it is not touching, it is not surrounding the body of the ovule, that part is actually the funicle proper, or you can say better, it is a funicle, right? Now, this is the vascular bundle. To supply the nourishment to the ovule. And this part of the, funicle, which is just touching the body of the ovule, is called hilum. Right? Now, these three cells which are towards the chalazial end, 1, 2 and 3, these are called antipodals. In short, it is called antipodals. In full, you can say antipodal cells. Now, these three cells which are towards the micropyle, right? Out of these three cells, one cell is the which is in the center is quite big in size. It is called egg cell. And two cells which surround it from both the sides. One is this and one is this. these two cells are called as synergids. Synergids. Now, the synergids and the egg cell together, these two are called as egg apparatus. Egg apparatus, right? Now, students, listen. This egg cell is actually the female gamete. It fuses with that of the male gamete, one male gamete, and the resultant cell is called as zygote, which soon start undergoing mitosis, resulting into the formation of what? The embryo. Okay. Now, before the formation of the embryo, when there is the egg cell, that time this entire structure is called female gametophyte. But when the embryo is formed, that time the name is simply changed. Now it is called as embryo sac because it is having the embryo that time. But for the convenience of the study, these two terms are same. So these are synonyms, interchangeable. Okay. Now, synergids. What is the role of the synergids? Actually, inside the synergids, if we magnify the image, this egg apparatus, so it will appear like this. And inside this, some cellular thickenings are found on the wall, which are called as filiform apparatus. These are actually found inside the synergids. So this is the synergid. And this is what? This is the filiform apparatus. Filiform apparatus. Now, a question arises: what is the role of the filiform apparatus? So, students, filiform apparatus, they guide the pollen tube so that the pollen tube enter inside the embryo sac through this synergid with the help of the filiform apparatus. Now, this ovule is actually a typical ovule I have drawn right now. Typical ovule. In this ovule, actually, as far as the mutual relationship of the position of the chalaza, the micropyle and the follicle, 6 types of ovules are found. Out of these 6 types, 2 are very famous and you must learn it. One is called orthotropous ovule. Orthotropous ovule. One is called orthotropous ovule, and the other one is called anatropous ovule. Now, what is the difference between these two, orthotropous and anatropous ovule? So let us take one by one. Students, as I told you that the ovule is attached with that of the wall of the ovary. So the point of the ovary wall through which the ovule is attached, that is called, what do we call that? That is called placenta, right? So supposing it's an ovule, this is the inner envelope, inner integument. This is the outer integument. And here is the what? Funicle. And this funicle, the distal part of this funicle is attached with that of the wall of the ovary, and that point is called placenta. Now in this ovule, what we are observing? This part of the ovule is called upper part. Upper part. And obviously this will be the lower part. Here it will be the lower part to which the funicle is attached. Here is the lower part. Now students, what you will have to understand here, that the upper part always shows the micropyle, because here is the micropyle. Here is the micropyle. While the lower part always shows the chalaza. Right? So if an ovule shows this type of arrangement in which the micropyle, the chalaza and the funicle, they are in a straight line, that type of ovule is called orthotropous. Right? And if it is if this body of the ovule turns 180 degrees, how much? 180 degrees. That time the micropyle will shift downward like this. I have drawn a typical ovule. Here the body of the ovule, it has turned 180 degree, and now the micropyle, it is shifted downward, right? And the chalaza, it is shifted upward. But this time also, this is the upper part, it will not change at all. This is the upper part of the ovule which always shows the micropyle, and this is the lower part of the ovule which always shows the chalaza. This upper part and lower part, the concept of the upper part and the lower part is taken from this orthotropous ovule, right? So two types of the ovules are there, orthotropous ovule, and the second one is the anatropous ovule. Anatropous ovule is called the typical ovule. Do you know why? Because in majority of the flowering plants, the anatropous ovule is formed. So this is the diagram of a typical ovule. A typical ovule. A typical ovule. And a typical ovule is also called as what? Anatropous ovule. Right, students? So, students, this was all about today's lecture. In the next lecture, I will start the megasporogenesis. Okay? Thank you. Thank you.